Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
The missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother has went through a wall, came home, now they can't find her.
Chad, where are Lori's kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Once I told a lie, and I told my family, I had to keep lying.
McSherman is a demon.
We haven't cleared anybody.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for being here for another ATS News live stream. Tonight we are just kind of doing a chill hangout session. I've got my mod Johnny hanging out and handing out some beverages for everybody as we get settled in. So we did our serious true crime discussion last night. Tonight we're just going to be hanging out and discussing the civil case between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, specifically in continuing our defamation conversation. This ties in with Lauren Matthias and the hidden true crime saga that is continuing, because a lot of people were basically comparing her to Amber Heard. We took a poll. You guys said you wanted to carry this conversation on. And we've also discussed in the community, would Christina, who was the respondent, aka her quote unquote stalker, have a defamation suit that would be viable against Lauren? So that's sort of where this whole study kind of emerged from. And Saturday night, we chose to be our kind of laid back, chill discussion. And then Sunday, we do our Watts case discussion. And like I said, catch the replay for the true crime discussion last night if you want the updates on a lot of cases that took place this week. And there's even more updates that are coming out too. So we'll have a lot to discuss next week as well. So thanks again for being here, guys. Hey, Adrian, good to see you. Hi, Shay. Hello, Ruth Ann. So there's just, hey, Johnny, Jen, CC. There's been a lot of stuff kind of going around. We are waiting to find out through Kresha if she got served in this whole copyright claim situation. As you guys know, weeks ago, she had her mother on her channel and they kind of just discussed their experience dealing with hidden true crime and Lauren and their opinions about the relationship that they built with her. And basically, after that stream occurred, it got a copyright claim. So YouTube took it down. And then she put it on her Facebook and the Facebook took it down as well because Lauren did a copyright claim through there. And pretty much we have Lauren claiming that she owns photos of Kay and Crush's own murdered families. So that's the part of the video that she put the copyright claim on, even though we all know that it's because she doesn't want criticism of herself out there from one of the biggest cases that she ever covered, let alone the victim's family in the case that she covered very widely. So has she said anything? They're, I think, moving on. Like sources that are close to them have pretty much confirmed that she's just moving on. And I mean, you can see on her channel, she's just carrying on with content and whatnot. So, but they're leaving the streams up there. So this is still out there. And the what's crazy about the copyright on Crush's channel, like she went through it on her channel, Difficult Research. And you can pretty much read exactly what's going on. Because you have to fill out this whole thing on YouTube. Like you can't just put a copy claim on a channel and not kind of back up specifically like what and why. So, as you guys have probably already heard, I know Alex Erickson talked about this earlier this week. The thing that is crazy too is her copyright claim on Krusha is an exact copy as the copyright claim that Sleuthy Goosey said Lauren put on her channel. So this copyright claim had nothing to do with, the 9-hour stalker situation. It was about her critique and criticism and just reaction video to her interview with the detective in the Delphi case. And so she pretty much shares her answers and all that, like describes the infringement. So this is all typed out by Lauren. And it's pretty much word for word the same thing that she did on Crushes. So I kind of made a joke on Sleuthy's post. I was like, so does she like copyright her copyright claims? Because it's just like word for word the same thing. Like she's got it branded and down pat. That and cease and desist from what I hear. So she says, Krusha K. Goodwin, also known as Difficult Research on YouTube, played our entire video on her YouTube channel. So as you can see right in this image on the screen, it's almost word for word what she did on Sleuthy's. She took our content, which we wrote, directed, and produced entirely on our own from our YouTube channel, Hidden True Crime, and then played it on her own channel. It is identical to ours, except she talked out loud while streaming our video so that she could claim it was commentary, which in fact, it is not commentary and certainly not educational. The harm is that viewers were not watching the video on our channel. Rather, they were watching the video on Difficult Research channel instead. Not only was Difficult Research channel stealing our work, Krusha Goodwin, using her Difficult Research channel, was also encouraging hatred and spouting harmful and false narratives about hidden true crime. Hi, Melanie, and everyone joining in. Lady Sarah, good to see you. Yeah, it's a copy and paste, and it's like insert whoever is criticizing her work. But what's so egregious, in my opinion, about the one against Krusha is, Sleuthy was just like, whatever, I'm not going to fight this. If this is what she wants, and like, whatever, I'll just take it down. She said it wasn't even monetized. Like, it's not like she was making money off the video and Lauren was missing out. You know what I mean? So when you put a copyright claim on a video, you get the ad revenue. So when you watch an ad, it pays the channel. And pretty much, if Lauren wins this copyright claim against Krusha, which I think Krusha has a really good chance to fight it. But if Lauren wins the copyright claim, then any monetary ad revenue would go directly to Lauren, because she's saying that's my work, so therefore that's my revenue. So it's just sick in that sense. And then the fact that it is family photos of Krusha's own family. And the other thing too, like, unless your video, hey Roxanne, good to see you. Unless your video is going viral, like once it kind of does, it's, I don't know, I would say like 30 days out there, like it's not getting like such big hits anymore. Like it kind of like you have to put out something new. Like the algorithm, there's so much content out there that, you have to really kind of keep your channel fresh. Like you can't just bank on one video lasting you forever, and it's not going to bring in like the views and the subscribers and all that forever. So the fact that she's writing in the complaint on Krusha's channel that, it's the video that she's putting it on, that she's saying Krusha played, that belongs to her, is titled Larry Woodcock Breaks Down Over JJ Vallow's Murder, an interview with Kay and Larry Woodcock. Like, she's saying that she owns the family's breakdown of their own family member's murder. Like, she's literally, because you have to fill it out, you have to say like, okay, what's the channel that it is? Like, link the video that you own that they're using. So she's knowingly just knowing. My whole point is like that video, I doubt is getting much views anyways. So that's another reason why I know that this is all because Kay and Kresha gave their opinion about Lauren, and Lauren didn't like it because it doesn't look good. Right? It's for spite. It's to silence them. So you're silencing the victim's family in this huge case, but you're pushing it off and claiming that it's, copyrighted, but it's their own photos. Like, it's just one big, like, this is so wrong on so many levels. How could you even do this, in my opinion? So the next step in the process, because this whole process is sort of new. It's a new copyright process on YouTube and other platforms, apparently. Like, I guess it's not just YouTube, but the whole process that is going on is called the Copyright Claims Board. It's a voluntary alternative to federal court established within the U.S. Copyright Office. It is not specific to the YouTube system, but a new legal avenue for resolving small copyright disputes in the U.S. So the next step would be she'd serve Kresha, and then it would literally go to this board, and it's like small claims court. Yeah, seriously, she wants to own their story. She does want to live through their story. I bet not. No one wants that. Yeah, she doesn't want to, right, live through their story. I totally agree. Yeah, the family, that is like the other level to it. And the other layer, the family that she's gotten the most views and coverage and notoriety for. And it kind of makes sense that like that's why she's trying to silence them. But like the fact that she doesn't have the most respect for them because of that, all, the relationship that they built together, like it's more about, I can't have them say that about me. It's terrible. It's really terrible. We've gone through a lot of, every single file in her evidence that she goes through in her 9-hour. And we've determined that none of it really backs up any stalking claims. Even honestly, the video that came out that we looked at last week from Christina's Meta glasses, the officer comes to the bar where she was already at. She had been told when she got served that you can be in the bar in the hotel. You're not getting, she was given the okay. She wasn't somebody who went somewhere where Lauren and Grayson were at. It was the other way around. So this whole, she broke the 500-foot rule, blah, blah, blah. Like, she was just doing what the officer who served her said she could do. And then if they show up, all of a sudden she's got to like cash out and leave. And at that point, if they show up, the 500-foot thing is broken. The second that Lauren and so right then and there, like if you want to get specific about, she broke the rules, people, all the gems argue that Christina broke the rules. She broke the law. Therefore, she broke the TPO. It's like she was just sitting there. The second that Lauren and Grayson walk in, then she's backed up into a corner. And then it's like, yeah, she broke the 500-foot law. But that was only because they were there. And you're telling me they didn't know, like they knew exactly where she was. The reason how we know that she knows exactly where they was because they have videos of them recording and they're talking about their location. So it's unreal. And the level of being that tone deaf kills me. So you know how she went on this channel, Mormon Stories podcast? These are the people that she was on with. We kind of talked a little bit about her friend here who she went to, I think it was Charles Vallow's trial, or maybe it was, I don't know. It was one of them. There's been so many that Lori's been involved in, but one of the trials related to the Daybell case, she went with this woman. And that's where they talked about in this podcast that, she said amen out loud when they played Chad Daybell's blessing to Alex Cox, like right before murders and all that. Well, apparently she's spoken out on Reddit. It's scary how many people still believe LM. I feel the same way about them that I do with anti-Karen Reed. LOL, same mentality. I totally agree. I could totally see like lumping them kind of as the same type of vibe. Totally. But anywho, so I guess this woman who's in this podcast has spoken out on Reddit. And like I was wondering how this channel kind of felt about her and everything that came out. And I can read you guys what she spoke out against. And the reason why I feel like it's relevant is because she mentions like this whole copyright situation. Hey, Marshall Dove. Oh, he's 22. Just reading chat, guys. Seriously, she wants, yeah. So this surfaced on Reddit a day ago. And apparently it's written by that woman I was just showing you from that podcast, the Mormon Stories podcast. She goes on there a lot. I guess she doesn't like run the podcast, but she's a guest on there a lot. So this is how they're feeling about the whole situation. Since silence can be interpreted as support, I don't want to stay silent. Hi, everyone. Mindy Caldwell here. I have appeared several times on Mormon Stories podcast with John Dellin, Lauren Matthias, Megan Connor, and Dr. John. I'll start by saying that I deeply value my friendship with John Dellin, and I would never speak for him on this issue or any other. And John is that guy that runs that podcast, who I was kind of showing you with the dark hair. John is a sincere guy with a big heart. And Margie Dellin is one of the most warmest, most genuine souls I've ever known. I adore them both. I've spent many hours in the Mormon Stories studio with John, Lauren, and Megan. I care about all of them. We have worked hard in our collaborations, and I'm proud of the episodes we have released. A little backstory on my relationship with Lauren and Hidden True Crime. I told my friend John Dellin years ago that I had been doing a deep dive on the Daybell case. So I asked him if I'd like to join him with the Matthiases on Mormon Stories to talk about it. I came prepared to those interviews with a binder full of detailed notes, and others nicknamed me Binder Mindy. I have always relied on my trusty notes and deep research as a way to contribute to the conversations. I have been effusive about Hidden True Crime in the past and have found value in much of their content. I've praised Lauren for her work ethic. The first time I met Lauren in person was at a trial in Boise. She and her friend Sarah generously allowed me to stay with them, and for which I'm grateful. I saw Lauren's hustle and tenacity behind the scenes, and I was impressed by her. Outside our collabs discussing the Daybell case, Visions of Glory, and Frankie and Hildebrandt case, I have followed Hidden True Crime's content less in recent years, mostly because of life getting busy and also just feeling drained from true crime in general. When I accepted John Dalen's invitation a few months ago to join as a co host for Lauren's personal story, I was unaware at the time of any of the drama behind the scenes. Let me just check on you guys in chat. Have I read her book excerpts? The one about her first marriage, Marshall, is where are the excerpts? Because I'm not about to sit down and read a book, but if there's footnotes, that would be interesting. Okay. In retrospect, the timing of the interview raises concerns, but I will confirm that John has wanted to interview Lauren for a long time, and I was happy to participate. I sent a message to Lauren and Grayson shortly after the 9-hour live to extend my support. There were moments during the long live where things weren't quite adding up in my mind, but my message of support was mostly in response to the evident distress of the situation. Since then, I have spent many hours consuming content and sifting through information, including frequent visits to this subreddit. I appreciate what has been shared. My Mormon faith deconstruction has taught me that there is freedom and great value in learning to think critically. I spent the first 40 years of my life following the church path with gusto, and the past 11 years meticulously attempting to detangle a lifetime of conditioning. I've learned the importance of challenging confirmation biases and examining evidence despite devotion or loyalty to the subject of examination. I recognize that I only have a hangnail's worth of skin in this game. I don't produce my own content and keep a pretty low profile in general. I'm not a keeper of any damning information and don't know most of the people involved in this drama. The hidden true crime rabbit hole started out as confusing and sadness several weeks ago. I had high hopes for the We Respond video as a way to bring clarity to the situation, but instead I was catapulted into an obsessive quest for more information. My metaphorical binder is bursting at the seams. Even considering the mounting pile of incredulous moments of discovery these past weeks, the copyright suit against Kresha and attempts to silence people talking about it is a line in the sand that led me to finally say something publicly. What the hell, you guys? Very poor form and so incredibly disappointing. So that is an opinion of people who worked very closely to Lauren and who supported her and spent a lot of time with her and shared a lot of can you link the website, Marshall Dove? Is it a website? Hello, Bex Minster. It's good to see you. Okay, so let's just get back into our little review of the 9-hour stream, and then we will watch Camille Vasquez discuss her opening statements in the defamation suit. Before we get into the 9 hours too, I wanted to kind of go through, because the whole rumor right now is that Christina's going to file defamation, or she should, against Lauren. Again, that hasn't happened yet. So that's sort of why we're kind of brushing up on this subject matter, etc. Pretty much for that to happen, these are some of the things that need to take place. So let me just read that. The required elements of defamation. So let me just share my screen while I read this. Hey, Mary Beth, good to see you. One second. So These are the requirements in case, aka the respondent, aka how Lauren has talked to her or confirmed that she's, the stalker over and over. These are the requirements that would need to be met for Lauren to sue her. Hey, Brooks, good to see you. The required elements of defamation. A false statement of fact. The statement must be false. Opinions like "I think she's rude" usually don't count unless phrased as fact. Rumors, accusations, or claims presented as factual can count. 2. Published or communicated to a third party. Someone other than the speaker and the subject must hear and see it. Publication can mean social media posts, videos, texts shown to others, interviews, articles. Even one other person is enough. 3. Fault, negligence, or actual malice. This depends on whether the person is a private individual or a public figure. Private individual is negligence. A person spreading it failed to exercise reasonable care in checking the truth. Public figure as actual malice is the speaker knew the statement was false or acted with reckless disregard for the truth. This is much harder to prove, though. 4. Harm and damages. The false statement must cause actual harm, such as reputational damage, loss of income, loss of opportunities, emotional distress, social stigma. Some statements are so serious that harm is presumed, like false accusations of crimes, claims of misconduct, allegations about professional incompetence. These fall under defamation per se. The statement must be of and concerning the plaintiff. The statement has to be specifically about that person, directly or indirectly, even without naming them. If viewers or readers can identify the person, it qualifies. So for the summary, for a valid defamation case, you need a false statement of fact published to a third party, fault, negligence, or actual malice, damages, harm caused, and a statement about the plaintiff. So those are all the criteria that need to be met for a defamation case. So for those of us who've been wondering, could Christina have one against, Hidden True Crime? It's very interesting.
I met my stalker in April of 2024. During the summer of 2024, she began doing contract graphic design work for my business. Do we have those invoices? Let's pull them up. They may not matter, but I would like to show them. There's one. Okay, I'm paying her. That's all you need to know. However, for the past few months, my stalker has been intentionally targeting me and stalking me, making me.
That's what I heard, Michelle. I wasn't sure if it was actually happening. Has it been confirmed? Because I seen that he, is going live like he usually does at 9 p.m. And I heard him say that they were going to be discussing stuff, but that's why I kind of went live at 7 because I want to make sure that I catch the updates if Crush is there, but I haven't seen anything confirming that. But I'm excited if so.
Me fearful for my safety and well-being, as well as the safety of my family and my producer Grayson's safety. My stalker
Awesome.
has also been using a group.
So it's confirmed by Crusher herself. That's awesome. That's going to be interesting. It's just, I think so many people, like I just read off that Reddit post, that woman gave Lauren the benefit of the doubt, saw the distress, reached out and said, I'm so sorry. And then decided, like, knowing that things weren't really adding up, she still was like, sorry you're going through this. And then was like, wait a minute, what? What's going on? And then the further she jumps down this rabbit hole, the worse it gets. Like, why did Lauren have to if she didn't copyright that live stream with Krusha, it's like we all would have just moved on. We literally would have just moved on. But the fact that you did that to the victim's family in the case that you worked so closely with, got so much coverage, and, leave the money aside that she made off covering that, like, leave all that out of it. The fact that she got so close to the family and was like, I'm here for you, blah, blah, blah. And then the second, she has struck 5 channels as of today. Oh dear. Yeah, Lauren, you did it all to yourself, in my opinion. And that's the other thing too, is Krusha came in the stream last week and was like, thanks for talking about this still, like at the end of our stream. I think here, like, we would have moved on too, like on this channel. Like, there would be no reason for us to kind of be like, this is wrong. Like, we all just feel like this is wrong, like about the copyright claim against Krusha. Like, it's so tone deaf. Like, I don't know who's giving her advice. Like, is it Grayson? Is she giving her this advice? I don't know, but whoever is giving her advice needs to stop. If it's her own decisions, she needs to stop. So that was one of the reasons why I just went through the defamation requirements, because if she puts a copyright strike on, or claim on this stream,
Group of people,
or any of the streams where we play it, it's like I have to argue fair use, and part of fair use would be educational purposes and criticism, So it's like, should we even watch this? What channels, Michelle? Do you know? And that's another reason why I'm going to play a little bit of the opening statements for Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, because it's like, we really are just studying defamation. And for some reason, she has still kept this 9-hour live stream up. Like, I was thinking every week, I'm like, she must, I would be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if I go to this channel and to play this live tonight and it's not here anymore, because she's just realized I need to just take this down. I called this woman a stalker, and like, people are saying that it's like defamation possibly against her. Like, I need to just, instead she keeps it up. I think it's like her most viewed video. I really do. Oh, Krusha is such a lovely woman, but also don't forget about what was done to Christina. Yeah, what was done to her is terribly wrong. They were stalking Christina, not the other way around. Totally agree. Yeah, we talked about the metadata, the meta glasses, and what was viewed on there. Like, people who try to just say she broke the law by becoming within that 500-foot space. Like, Lauren put her in that position, and she was told by the other officer that she could be in the bar and in the hotel. Lauren made comments somewhere saying she's moved on. Yeah, that's what I heard of, and I was saying that in the beginning of the chat. Rumor has it that she's just like, I'm moving on, and everyone else should too. But behind the scenes, she's striking channels. Right. If you want to move on, why are you carrying that on this dispute and drama? Lauren has no shame. Putting the copyright strike on the family's own pictures. Can you guys think for a minute for like about that. Pretend, and God forbid this ever happens to any of us, your family was murdered. Somebody gets close to you and says, I'll give you a voice on my platform and I want to, research your case and get justice for your family. Oh, you've got pictures and I can have them for my channel and I'm going to edit this video and interview Larry and he's going to break down and I'm going to title it Larry Breaks Down, blah, blah, blah. And then this family, and mind you, Kresha played the video, but also had very much fair use as far as like, she didn't even play the whole video. Like it was just running like on mute. Like, and she added obviously her own commentary and all that. It's just unbelievable. There's small channels that she struck. Right. Like what? Ridiculous. That's the thing about Turtle Boy. He is a large channel. So I'm so glad that finally Kresha has decided to collab and go on there because this needs more reach. But yeah, it's just unbelievable to think in your mind as you're filling out this copyright form and you have to sign it. Like you have to do like a virtual signature when you put a claim or a copyright strike on a channel. Like it's not like, oh, she might have put it in by mistake. I saw somebody comment on, so I made a short when I had Sleuthy Goosey on my channel, and the short was Sleuthy describing her experience with Lauren's copyright claim procedures on her channel. And somebody commented on that short saying, too bad AI runs all the YouTube copyright programs. So it's AI striking it. It's like, no, it's not. You literally have to put in like this whole form. It's not AI doing copyright claims. So I don't know who's spreading that, but that's not true. AI and the bots do reused content flags, but that's different than copyright.
To help her achieve her goal. This started on April 9th, 2025, when my stalker confronted me in the courthouse in Maricopa County, Arizona, while I was reporting on the Lori Daybell trial. The stalker came up to me, cried, and let me know that she had heard what I had said about her and that two former contract workers were releasing my text messages that I had with them during their time working with me. Now I'm going to ad-lib, a little bit more here. I actually wrote that ad-lib, a little bit more about what the stalker said. I'm so nervous. I'm like reading ad-lib. So let me tell you a little bit more what she said. She came up to me and said, I know what you said about me. She was crying.
And is this about calling her annoying? Like, I just, oh, poor girl.
Give her a hug. A few of the things she stated.
A few of the things
were, well, first off, I want to point out that there was a no recording order in the courthouse, a severe no recording order in the courthouse. Why? Because,
oh my gosh, she always does this. Whenever she starts to like talk about something, she always has to be like bringing up like all this like background to make the person look even worse. Like something petty that they did, like, and just so you know. Oh, like she did last week when we watched this, when she was talking about like one of the women who were in the Daybell Facebook group who would post like not so nice things about like the family or something. And she was like, and she would post these, horrible posts and blah, blah. By the way, she was blah, blah, blah. And then she went on about her story about her. It's like she wants to like paint the person so negatively so that you're already like manipulated by something that doesn't even have to do with what she's about to say about this person.
Because there's a high profile, internationally well-known trial going on. And every day we are reminded that there's to be no recording in all of the courthouse, not just the courtroom, but the courthouse. And that if you are to record in the courthouse, you will be held in contempt of court. And that there are signs everywhere saying, do not record in the courthouse. I would have never thought she was recording.
Hey, Holly.
So the stalker says, I know you're
And like knowing everything that we know about this situation, every single time she refers to her as the stalker, it's so condescending and just, in my opinion, cruel. So the stalker is, it's like, wow, this woman, just look at her. She'll probably put a copyright claim on my channel because I'm a small channel.
Your ex-friends are releasing everything. And it is horrible what they are sharing. And I cannot believe what you said about me. I knew what I had said about her. I told all of you at the beginning of this, I called her annoying.
I'm sure there was so much more than her calling her annoying. Like this is more she's not going to approach Christina's not going to walk up to her and be like, I heard what you said about me. If somebody just said you were annoying, stop it. I don't believe that it was just her calling her annoying. Not sure what you guys think. Hey, Julia, good to see you. Yeah, absolute. The Karen of all Karens. Sounds so middle school, Lauren. Doesn't equal stalking or harassment. Exactly. Don't feel sorry for Grace and her duper's delight face, sly smiles, and psycho eyes should tell you everything you need to know about her, and she is sloppy drunk in a few of the videos. I'm concerned about their lack of social awareness and social skills. Like from what I've seen from both Grayson and Lauren, they lived a very yes, they've gone out and done things like since high school, but up until probably college, I think that they've been very sheltered and closed off from the reality of the world, in my opinion. I guess in comparison to me, maybe. I think I saw a Patreon where Grayson was talking about how small her high school class was and all that. And for some reason, I just feel like they have a not well-rounded social awareness. Mostly because another reason I feel that way too is, okay, so she put a cease and desist on somebody, and then she sees that person at a trial, approaches them and asks if she can have the seat next to her. And that's what one of the videos was about, when the woman approached them at the dinner and she was like, I don't know you. I contacted you one time for eyelash extensions, but I don't know you. And I think that woman was talking about how why did you put a cease and desist on her and then you approached her at the trial? That was wrong of you to do. But that to me is an example of this, in my opinion, the whole lack of social awareness. If you're going to work in true crime, and you're going to put a cease and desist on somebody who you're actually going to go see at a trial in the future. It's what are you doing? There's got to be a better way to handle things in your profession, in my opinion. And it seems like there's a lot of instances where it's you didn't know that you shouldn't do that. In regards to her, this is my business type of talk. I don't know. Just my opinion. I think they lack some social awareness. I mean, even the copyright claim against Krusha. Like, you realize you're putting a copyright claim on somebody's own family photos? It's so weird, like, that you even think, like, that would be okay. In my opinion, she got too friendly with people who were supposed to be the business associates, and when the friendships crumbled, the business relationship that wasn't imploded. Yeah, I agree. There seems to be a lot of instances where it was like, I think she even said something along those lines on the channel that she went on. She was like, "Live and learn," or "Now I know not to do that," or something like that, like in regards to running her business or something. It was like, you didn't know? It is crazy, Mary Beth. It really is. There's so much more to it too. Like in this 9-hour stream, we're gonna see unless we get a copyright claim, she's gonna compare herself to the victims' family members that are dead. Like, I feel like she's already said it, that we covered a couple streams back. Nobody's listening to me. Like, I feel like Charles Vallow. It's like, stop. Right. Grayson is 24. So that kind of explains her lack of professionalism or social awareness, or just street smart, some people call it. What's her excuse? Hey, Loco. Good to see you. Glad you're here.
And I knew exactly what it was and what she was saying. And I wanted to face it head on and own it and apologize. I don't like hurting people. And I want to be honest with things. That's who I am. And so I said, let's talk.
Mhm.
Let's talk. And she's like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to. And I said, you know what? Please allow me to talk with you right here about it. I called you annoying, and I'm sorry. I didn't know you well then.
And
I told her
I called you
essentially
annoying.
that I felt like perhaps at that time that she was further along in the friendship than I was. Maybe she thought we were closer than I felt at that time.
I agree.
That I was still getting to know her. And
you know what's interesting too? Before this live stream, I was watching somebody cover her as well, but about her Delphi coverage. And in her interview with the detective in the Delphi case, Lauren says something, not verbatim, but something along the lines of, like, he had said something and she said, well, that's the victim's family agrees with you, so that's all that matters. So in the Delphi case, she's talking to the detective and she says, whatever the victim's family is thinking, that's all that matters. Hindsight now, with everything going on with Krusha and the victim's family, but suddenly the victim's family's opinions and everything don't matter when it's coming from Krusha and Kay and it's criticizing you. It was just so funny to hear her say that. I wish I could have clipped it. But yeah, she said in that interview to the detective, like, well, the victim's family believes that, so that's all that matters.
That it was difficult sometimes to work around her, and because I felt she was annoying sometimes while I tried to work. And I didn't record it, she did, but this is what I recall. And that I was sorry. And I felt really bad, and I knew her better. And I felt terrible that I had hurt her that way. I was also completely taken back by the fact that a bunch of my private text messages were being released. It scared the hell out of me. I didn't know what that.
I think it's so funny the way she talks about her text messages being released, and like the way she says it scared the hell out of me. It's like the way she says scared the hell out of me is like what we would say about something that actually was so serious. Like, what would scare the hell out of her about what she said in those texts? You know what I mean? For to have this type of reaction. Lauren doesn't even see what she did wrong. Even in that situation, she's mad at Christina for not wanting to talk it out right then and there. Then Lauren doubled down. Exactly. And imagine that whole situation. Christina approaches her, according to Lauren, says, I know what you said about me. And Lauren's like, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. I called you annoying. So let's talk about this. Would you want to talk to that person? And here, the way she tries to like explain it all and justify it, like she keeps just mentioning the fact that I found her annoying, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you're not helping the situation. Yeah, Lauren comparing herself to Charles Vallow and Tylee and Ryan was beyond the pale. And good for Kay for expressing her opinion about it, and then it got taken down. I couldn't watch her Delphi coverage. She drank all the Kool-Aid. And the thing is, too, and I've said it before, we could have used Dr. John's analysis and expertise and professional opinion of the whole Richard Allen situation. You know, the allegations of him in prison and the mistreatment. I think that has all actually been proven. Like, it's not even allegations anymore. Like, he was definitely abused in prison before he even had his trial. Like, we could have had the Dr. John's opinion of what happens to a person's mind when they're in solitary confinement, when, etc. Everything that happened to Richard Allen, you know, we could have gotten his professional opinion on. But instead, they decided they're going to get more coverage, more views, and more inside scoop by picking the side of the state in the prosecution. So instead of using her platform to really like emphasize what was done wrong in Delphi, she used her platform for her own benefit, you know, to get that interview with the detective. Like, had Lauren and John come out with opposing opinions of the state and been like, you know, on the side of Bob Mata and been like, yo, like, this doesn't seem right. Like, I think he's innocent. Like, let's take a look at this, like, without any biases. But I believe that Lauren's coverage, again, I didn't follow it in real time because I wasn't even in true crime at the time, earlier this year, or for the Delphi trial. But I just think it would have been so much more useful for them to go down the route of, you know, John's opinion came from her because he wasn't there. And it's unfortunate too, because like I said, there's evidence that Richard Allen was severely mistreated before his trial, and you're supposed to be innocent, you know, assumed innocent, and then proven guilty. But they decided, well, we're not going to get our interview if we decide to question things in the investigation. So let's not do that. Of course, that's my opinion. But that's how I see their coverage of the Delphi case.
That meant 6 years of messages. And this woman saying to me, they're horrible. They're terrible. Your friends are horrible. They're cruel. I can't believe what they said. I can't believe what you said. She brought up poisonous donuts, Lauren, poisonous donuts in Delphi. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, you don't know what I'm talking about? Something about poisonous donuts? This is what I recall again. She's the one that recorded, not me, too. You know. You know what I'm talking about? Liz sent it to you. You sent it to Liz. Who's Liz? Who's Liz? What are these poisonous donuts? You know, Liz. You don't know who Liz is? No, I don't know who Liz is. Who's
like, even this whole her reenacting her conversation with Christina right now, like, isn't it bizarre? Like, instead of just saying we had a back and forth and I told her I didn't know exactly what she was talking about, like, the way that she's like acting this out is so bizarre to me. I don't know what you guys think.
that somebody sent you?
Call my name.
We'll talk about some other stuff after that. We'll talk about this in Grayson's declaration. But I also did leave court. early that day because I had a panic attack about private texts of mine.
I'm sorry, but having a panic attack over private texts of yours coming out sounds like a personal problem. They were unboxing their 100K YouTube plaque. Dr. John was in a dress shirt sitting on the couch. Lauren was filming. Welp, he was also in his underwear with his bare feet exposed. Oh. All right. So let's watch some opening statements with Camille Vasquez in the defamation suit in our little hangout session. Thanks for being here, guys. Yeah, so this is like 24 minutes, so we'll just watch this and close out. But thanks for being here, guys.
Ms. Vasquez? You might have to turn it up a little bit. Sure.
There we go. Just heard myself. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. And good morning. Over the course of this trial, you're going to have an opportunity to get to know Johnny Depp. Not the characters he's portrayed, but the man himself. You will hear from Mr. Depp directly, but you will also hear from his friends, his family, and employees. You will hear from people who have known him for decades. They have seen him at his best, and they have seen him at his worst. And they will tell you, each of them, that he is a kind soul who has never and would never raise a hand to a woman. You will hear that Mr. Depp learned at a very young age how to coexist with an abusive woman. You will learn from Mr. Depp's sister, Christy, and from Mr. Depp that their mother, Betty Sue, lived in a constant state of anger that would boil over daily in vicious words and violence directed at her husband and their children. And you will hear how Mr. Depp, who had the personality of his father, coped with that abuse in the same way his father did. He just took it. The evidence will show that Mr. Depp learned that the best way to deal with violence was to leave, to get away from it. Give her time to cool down. But he never turned his back on his mother. Mr. Depp loved his mother, and he cared for her until the day she died. You will hear how Mr. Depp came to Los Angeles as a teenager. He first planned to be a musician, then became an actor, and eventually, thanks to his talent, his dedication, and a lot of hard work, grew into one of the biggest movie stars in the world. He had relationships with major figures in Hollywood and elsewhere, like Winona Ryder, Kate Moss. And before he met Amber Heard, he was with the same woman, Vanessa Paradis, for 14 years. He had 2 children with her. And even though he was a megastar, they had a quiet domestic life. In fact, you'll hear, as Mr. Chu already told you, that in Mr. Depp's 58 years, not a single woman has ever accused him of violence. And nobody in Hollywood or the world had any reason to believe he was an abuser until Ms. Heard publicly accused him.
So just kind of think about the whole stalker. We determined, and through other people's kind of web sleuthing, Christina doesn't have a criminal record. She's never had anybody come forward publicly in the court system that we've seen, or even in the comment section, since all of this has been circulating, to say she stalked me too, or I had a bad history with her. Like, there's nobody who has come out speaking against Christina either.
In 2016. You're also going to hear evidence about Ms. Heard. You're going to learn that she's a profoundly troubled person who manipulates the people around her, just like she manipulated Mr. Depp. Ms. Heard came to Los Angeles and sought a career in acting after Mr. Depp was well established as a movie star. Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard first met in 2009 on the set of the film The Rum Diaries. There was a significant age difference between them, and at first he avoided her advances, but she pursued him. She wooed him. The evidence will show that Ms. Heard went to great lengths to win him over by playing the doting girlfriend, and it worked. He fell head over heels in love with her. Those who watched this relationship develop saw red flags all over the place. You will hear from them in this trial. And over time, the real Ms. Heard began to emerge. She would berate him, scream at him. He would try to appease her, and sometimes, just sometimes, things would get better. But it would always happen again. The evidence will show that Mr. Depp started coping with Ms. Heard in the same way he did as a child. He would try to get away, avoid the conflict. But his trying to leave enraged Ms. Heard. She would resort to physical violence, throwing things at him, hitting him. She would tell him he was a coward. She would tell him he wasn't man enough because he wouldn't stay and fight with her. You will see that Ms. Heard equated anger and violence with passion. She would apologize with poetic excuses, as if the violence just proved how fierce and overwhelming her love for him was. And you're going to hear that when Ms. Heard got violent, Mr. Depp would just retreat, just as he did with his mother. He would try to leave, to get away from her. In her words, Ms. Heard's words, he would split. Mr. Depp would often retreat into bathrooms, lock the doors, wait out Ms. Heard's aggression, but his leaving just provoked her more. You will hear from Mr. Depp's security people, like Sean Bett, about how they often had to remove Mr. Depp from scenes with Ms. Heard, screaming at him, chasing him, trying to keep him from leaving.
That was another thing, Michelle, that I've noticed too in all this saga with Lauren. She talks a lot about she started talking to other people who didn't like me. And it's like, why do all these people have a problem with you? Michelle said, however, Lauren has more ex-friends than she has current friends. Obviously, the common denominator is Lauren.
You're going to hear evidence that when Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard traveled together, his team routinely had to book an extra room for him so that he had somewhere to go when Ms. Heard became enraged. You'll hear from other witnesses, including Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard's marriage counselor. Her name is Dr. Laurel Anderson, who perceived Ms. Heard as the aggressor in the relationship. Ms. Heard as the aggressor in the relationship, the one who would strike Mr. Depp to try to keep him from leaving. You'll hear from medical professionals who were with Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, often on a daily basis, for years, including their doctor, David Kipper, and Ms. Heard's personal nurse, her personal assigned nurse, Erin Barem Falati, who did not see any signs of injuries that Ms. Heard later testified to in graphic detail. Ms. Heard wants you to ignore the testimony of these medical professionals who saw her in real time. just as she wants you to ignore the testimony of the police officers who testified under oath who saw her on May 21st, 2016, without any injuries. But it is up to you, ladies and gentlemen of this jury, to judge the credibility of these witnesses and that of Ms. Heard. In this trial, Ms. Heard will undoubtedly present photos that supposedly show injuries she sustained as a result of the claimed abuse by Mr. Depp. Here's what you should keep in mind when you see these photographs. First, the evidence and expert testimony from a forensic pathologist, a doctor, will show that the injuries reflected in these photographs are not consistent with the brutal allegations of abuse Ms. Heard has alleged. Second, there are multiple witnesses, including medical professionals and police officers, who will testify that they did not observe the injuries supposedly reflected in these photographs. And you may be wondering, how can that be? Well, you will hear expert testimony that none of these photographs are the originals, not one. And many are stored in an editing program. So they could have been manipulated and cannot be confirmed as authentic. Importantly, you will not see a single photograph of the vast majority of the abuse alleged by Ms. Heard, not one. And there is not a single photograph or video showing Mr. Depp becoming physically violent towards Ms. Heard. The only medical report of an injury during their relationship was a severe one, and it was sustained by Mr. Depp after an argument shortly after their marriage while the couple was in Australia. You will hear evidence that the people who cared about Mr. Depp were encouraging him to have a prenuptial agreement with Ms. Heard, but she rushed the wedding date and he agreed to get married without one. After the wedding, again, people close to Mr. Depp encouraged him to consider a postnuptial agreement. When the topic came up, Ms. Heard became outraged, as she always did, at the suggestion that Mr. Depp might leave her. She berated him, and when he tried to leave, she became violent. She became so violent, in fact, she threw a vodka bottle at him that hit his hand and exploded. It severed the end of one of his fingers. You'll see pictures of Mr. Depp's severed finger and learn about his emergency medical treatment for that injury. And then you'll learn, and this is important, years later, after the false claims of abuse that caused Mr. Depp to file this very lawsuit, Ms. Heard came up with an elaborate story about what actually happened, according to her, in Australia. And what she said happened was that it was a 3-day hostage affair, an episode, where she was violently attacked and then sexually assaulted by Mr. Depp. You will see for yourself that the evidence does not support the story she told after she was sued. You will learn that there came a time when Mr. Depp was done, and you'll learn from him, and he will tell you why. The evidence will show that on May 20th, 2016, Mr. Depp's mother, Betty Sue, passed away. You will hear from Mr. Depp that his mother's passing was a wake-up call that helped confirm what he already knew, that the relationship with Ms. Heard wasn't working, and that Ms. Heard was not going to change. If you've ever lost a parent, you understand how much this experience can change your perspective on what is important for your own well-being. So Mr. Depp resolved to finally divorce Ms. Heard and told her that very day that he would do so respectfully and, most importantly, discreetly. The evidence will show that on May 21st, 2016, when Mr. Depp went over to the Eastern Columbia building to gather his things, Ms. Heard caused a final dramatic scene. In the wreckage of their relationship, Ms. Heard spun the final encounter between them into a tale of domestic abuse. Now, I understand that many of you may be asking yourselves, why? Why would Ms. Heard say that Mr. Depp abused her during their relationship if it didn't actually happen? Why would she make up the detailed, dramatic tales of abuse that you will surely hear in this courtroom over the coming weeks? By the end of this trial, you will have the answer to that question. The evidence will show exactly who Ms. Heard is. You will hear from Mr. Depp and other witnesses, including their marriage counselor, Dr. Laurel Anderson, that Ms. Heard would go to great lengths and even resort to physical violence to stop Mr. Depp from leaving her. But once Mr. Depp did leave, Ms. Heard tried to avoid public humiliation and present herself as a noble survivor and representative of the Me Too movement. You will hear evidence, including the testimony of Ms. Heard's former personal assistant, Kate James, that Ms. Heard is obsessed with her public image. It's her #1 priority. And you will see evidence that after she received a $7 million divorce settlement from Mr. Depp, Ms. Heard released a public statement claiming she wanted nothing from him and would donate the entire settlement to 2 charities: the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles in California and the American Civil Liberties Union, also known as the ACLU. But then she did not make the donations. Quite simply, Ms. Heard had publicly cast herself in the role of a domestic abuse survivor. There was no going back. When Mr. Depp finally stood up and fought for his good name in court by filing this lawsuit, Ms. Heard, because she couldn't back down, went all in. After this lawsuit was filed, and it's important, the timeline here, after this lawsuit was filed, Ms. Heard started making up more and more alleged incidents of abuse. And if you'll recall, ladies and gentlemen, the headline of the op-ed references sexual violence. But Ms. Heard had never made that accusation against Mr. Depp. It was never part of her allegations of abuse. So what changed? What changed between 2016 and 2018? We submit to you, and the evidence will show, when she realized the seriousness of what she had alleged, she panicked and she alleged sexual assault. Ms. Heard and her lawyers are going to tell you some truly horrific tales of abuse before this trial is over. But the horrific details are designed. They're designed to shock you and to overwhelm you. They are designed to be explosive. And they are designed to distract you from the evidence and, most importantly, from common sense. That tells you, the common sense and the evidence will tell you that it is all a lie. That none of this, not one single alleged incident of abuse, could have happened as Ms. Heard claims. Ms. Heard's pattern is consistent. She tells a lie, then covers up that lie with still more lies in a constantly changing, evolving, ever more dramatic story. You're going to hear a lot about Mr. Depp during this trial. Ms. Heard is going to tell you a lot of things about him. That he abused drugs and alcohol. That he used bad and offensive language. And it's true that Mr. Depp has had real struggles with substance abuse in his life. He's not denying that. You may know people close to you who have struggled too. But struggling with drugs and alcohol doesn't make you an abuser. He has also used some very colorful language. He uses words that I don't use, and you probably don't use. And he uses them frequently. Mr. Depp, like all of us, is not perfect, but he did not abuse Ms. Heard. All of this is just meant to distract you from what this case is about. This case is about what Ms. Heard said in her op-ed. The evidence will show that Ms. Heard painted a picture of herself as a heroic, innocent survivor of abuse by Mr. Depp, a beaten woman who finally stood up to her tormentor. The evidence will show that Ms. Heard used her allegations against Mr. Depp to raise her own profile and to advance her own career. The very same day that the op-ed was published, under the title, quote, "I spoke up against sexual violence," end quote, she posted that article that's now displayed on your screens and the title on her Twitter.
So imagine this in Lauren and Christina's case. So her live stream is titled, "I'm Scared." Hold on, let me get the exact title. "I can't stay silent anymore. I'm being stalked and bullied and fear for my safety. I have a stalker. I'm afraid for my safety." So that's her title and that's her thumbnail. Currently has 441,000 views on it. Just keep that in mind. Besides the fact that she called her my stalker over 400 times throughout that 9 hours. And that's not including the follow-up that they did as their response.
Page, right along with an announcement that she was becoming an ACLU ambassador on women's rights to make sure that, quote, "women and girls can live free from violence," end quote. She presented herself as the face of the Me Too movement, the virtuous representative of innocent women across the country and the world who have truly suffered abuse. The evidence will show that was a lie. And the evidence will show that Ms. Heard betrayed Mr. Depp as the representative of abusers everywhere, the agent of her suffering, the villain in her heroic journey. That was a lie too. And more than just a lie, it was an act of cruelty. Mr. Depp will go to his grave knowing that whatever he does, there are people out there in this world who will always believe that he abused a woman. This is a case about what Ms. Heard said. It's also a case about what a man named Adam Waldman said. Adam Waldman is a lawyer who has worked for Mr. Depp. After Mr. Depp filed this case against her, Ms. Heard filed her own claim against Mr. Depp, which is also the subject of this trial. In her claim, Ms. Heard says that Mr. Depp defamed her because Adam Waldman, his attorney, made some statements to reporters denying the truth of her claims of abuse. Adam Waldman is not in this courtroom. Ms. Heard chose not to name him in her claim. And I won't take up too much of your time with a discussion of her claim against Mr. Depp, except to say a few things. The evidence will show that those statements weren't even made by Mr. Depp. They were made by Adam Waldman. And Mr. Waldman, the evidence will show, is not under Mr. Depp's control. The statements were merely Mr. Waldman's opinions, made in justified defense of his client and friend, Mr. Depp. Mr. Waldman believed those statements. And finally, at the end of the day, Mr. Waldman's statements merely reflected the reality that we intend to prove in this trial. That Ms. Heard's portrayal of herself as a victim of domestic violence at the hands of Mr. Depp is a lie. Ms. Heard, as you know, is an actress. when she accused Mr. Depp of abuse and painted herself before the world as a representative of abuse victims everywhere, Ms. Heard took on the role of a lifetime. She can't back down. She has been living and breathing this lie for years now. And she has been preparing to give the performance of her life in this trial. But this trial is about the evidence. It's about a man's reputation. And it's about his whole life. His ability to walk down the street, look people in the eye, without having them think he's an abuser. It's about the truth. And the truth will come out in this trial. At the end of this trial, we will ask you to render a verdict for Mr. Depp. We will ask you to tell the world that he is not the abuser she described, and that she is not the victim she portrayed. And we will ask you to tell Ms. Heard that what she did was wrong. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Vasquez. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a little early, but maybe we should go ahead and take.
Okay, and we will leave it with this comment because I totally agree 100%, Michelle. I think Christina has a great defamation case. She has remained quiet and not released any text messages, and I think that's at the advice of an attorney, and I hope she slams them with a lawsuit. I definitely could see it coming. Another reason why we're kind of going through this trial, besides the Amber Heard comparisons that everyone was making. It's interesting to kind of just brush up on like what falls under this defamation requirements and all that. But guys, I appreciate you being here. Again, this is just kind of a low-key hangout session on Saturdays. Tomorrow we'll jump back into our full breakdown of Nicole Kessinger's FBI interview in the Chris Watts case with enhanced audio. And we'll go through that tomorrow night at 8. And then we'll meet up again next Friday at 8 p.m. and do another true crime live stream all over again. Thank you, Holly. I appreciate you. I appreciate all my mods and members and just anybody who participated in the chat. I appreciate you guys all very much. Hit that like button. And thank you so much, Roxanne, for the Cash App. I appreciate you and love you. But yeah, just reading your message along with the Cash App. So thanks. Anyways, I will talk to you guys tomorrow night. And again, next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in the evening. And I will also see you guys around the YouTube streets. So